Welcome, everybody, to the episode 4 of the Sporting Cast podcast. I'm your host, Lucas Red, and in just a very few moments, we will have our first guest associated in the hockey world. I am wearing this polo, the Tampa Bay Lightning, in honor of our guest, Kate Ballin, who will be joining us shortly. She is a good friend of mine, married one of my childhood best friends, and is a member of their front office for sales and tickets. Kate has some very cool stories. She's been with the Lightning for the last 3 seasons, joining shortly after their second Stanley Cup. She'll be able to talk about her experience with the Stanley Cup when they played the Colorado Avalanche. Although they did not win, she was able to be a part of that journey. And then she'll share her specific journey as well when she moved from New Orleans to Tampa Bay, what that transition has been like, why did she get into the sports industry, and share some stories from that standpoint. So just sit back, relax, and let's enjoy this next episode, and she'll be on with us shortly. So episode 4 of the Sporting Cast podcast brings Kate Henley of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Kate is the membership, sales, and executive service rep for the season ticket holders, and she is here with us today to talk about her journey of how she got into sports, talk a little bit of hockey, and most importantly, probably for her sake, maybe a little bit of Colts talk. Kate, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. I was a little concerned for you. On Sunday, there is no Lightning game, but there's also no Colts game. How are you going to spend your bye weekend?
Yeah, so we do have a game. It's
Saturday, though. Saturday.
Yes.
Not Sunday.
No game at home tomorrow. I think we play the Panthers. And then Sunday we have Vancouver. It's my birthday this weekend, so I took it off. I'm going to a concert tomorrow night and doing a full day at the new Universal Park on Sunday.
Well, happy early birthday to you.
Thanks.
So, Kate, you've had a very unique journey. Fortunately enough, you and I have been friends. Shout out to your now husband, Drew. Congratulations on your wedding this summer. But if you were able to just share why you got into sports, how you got into hockey, and just give some advice on what you want to tell your listeners.
Sure. So I guess starting with how I got into sports, I went to University of Louisville for sport management, but I was originally an education major and I wanted to be a history major. So I did about 6 weeks of education major, and they wanted me to write a really long paper on how to interact with shy kids. And I was like, what do you mean? You just interact with them. And so I kind of took a step back. I was like, maybe this isn't something that I want to spend 4 years on. So I started to look through different majors, and I was looking really hard at history, but I thought about all the papers and everything like that. And I was worried that I'd get sick of it. And so I tried to think of what I would never get sick of, no matter how many papers, reports, essays, studies I did on it. And it was sports. So worked my way in on the SPAD department there. And then right out of school, I didn't start in hockey. I actually started with my favorite team ever, the Colts. So I joined their inside sales program. Granted, that was spring of 2020, so I made it in there for a couple months before they laid off the sales team, just because you don't need to sell tickets if you can't have people in the building.
Shout out COVID for changing your career.
Yeah. So I was kind of floating for a little bit, bouncing around, bartending, kind of doing my thing. Ended up landing the same role over at the New Orleans Saints and Pelicans. So in 2021, I started remotely, and then I moved down there in May. And I lived in New Orleans for about 6 months exactly. Beautiful place to visit, 3 to 5 days maximum. Wasn't my cup of tea to live there. And of course, it was still kind of going through COVID precautions. So it was a lot of how are we going to make these basketball games work? How is this football going to work? I worked a lot of the training camps where, I was the person who told people to put on their mask. And Hurricane Ida ended up hitting our house. So we didn't have power for 2.5 months. My folks have a place over on the coast here in Florida. And so I ended up staying over there because they had power and AC. and we decided we really liked Tampa. So quit at New Orleans, moved over to Tampa full time, and kind of did some odd and end stuff until I was told that the hottest ticket in town was to go to a hockey game. And I'd never watched hockey on TV. I'd never been to a game. I didn't even know anything about it at all. Bought like a $10 ticket. I was in the very, very top row. And I think maybe 4 minutes into the first period and like 2 beers deep, I was like, I have to work here. And I applied for the job literally in those seats. And so I've been here since February of 2022.
So you had a very positive experience with the Colts, right? Like there's nothing that happened badly there. It's just more bad luck with COVID.
It's depressing. It was so sad. I loved the Colts, loved the organization, loved working there. But COVID.
You know, at the end of the day, COVID may have brought you to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I know over the years of just talking with you about it, I know how much you love your job. And I had to visit you for work a few times, and not you, but my job, and seeing you and Drew, been fortunate enough to join some Lightning games, and the passion that you bring and just the excitement that you have at the game speaks volumes. So, you know, although COVID didn't work out in your benefit for the Colts, it also brought you to the Lightning, which I know has worked out in the end. But talk to me a little bit more about New Orleans. I know it wasn't something that you really enjoyed in general. Obviously, just the hurricane didn't work out, but the organization. Talk about the differences of, you know, a positive experience working for a franchise like the Lightning or the Colts for that matter, or versus the Saints and Pelicans. And again, not that it wasn't something that, you know, you had to speak terribly on, but it's just something that wasn't for you. And what is the difference for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the Saints and Pelicans, they just have a very different like business structure because it's the same owner, Miss Benson. She owns the Pelicans and the Saints. Mm-hmm. And so I have never been a huge NBA fan. I grew up in Indianapolis, so it was always like college football, college basketball, and the Colts. And Pacers weren't really huge in my family, so I kind of like vaguely followed them. I got more into it this year because
Go Pacers.
I you can call me a fair weather fan, but geographically it makes sense.
Yes.
But yeah, so their business structure was a little different. I hadn't done NBA before, and I kind of went into it thinking that, oh my God, well, I'm going to work for the Saints, and it's going to be Drew Brees, and this is going to be awesome. And Drew Brees retired like a week into me working there, and I was like, oh, okay, great. But their business structure, so the Saints side, they're completely sold out, right? So on a normal arena, stadium, anything like that, they have 70,000 seats, and every single one of those, just like the Packers, is sold to season ticket holders. So they've got a super long wait list, not as long as the Packers, but they have a really long wait list. It's just not any sort of active selling. And I wasn't on the team that was managing the members, so I really didn't do a ton with the Saints except for pick up the phone when people called in and asked where they were on the wait list. And then as for like the basketball side, like NBA wasn't something I'd really like watched or paid attention to before, so there was a little bit of a disconnect with me trying to actually get really like head over heels into the sport. But also when you work for a sports team, you talk a lot about like the market you're in. And Tampa Bay is a very, very small market. New Orleans is a relatively small market too, but it spreads out. The hard part is like the outreaching parts are relatively far away. And when I was there, Zion got hurt, so there wasn't a huge draw to go to games. And so it was a bit more difficult for me to call people up and talk to them about coming out to a game when they just got affected by this other hurricane, or they live 3 hours away and they don't need to come down on a weekday or whatever. But I don't think it's like a bad organization by any means. I just think it was not the right fit for me. I would have preferred to be a little bit more on like the servicing side. Mm-hmm. But also it was COVID. So I was just kind of doing odd and ends, fill in the blank jobs, when I wasn't at home making calls and trying to get people to come out. So.
Do you think the path may have been different if Drew Brees decides to play for one more year and Zion doesn't get hurt? Like, do you see yourself in there for another year? I mean, the hurricane didn't help in general, though. So it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely. The hard part is looking back on it. It's like I think of all of rose-tinted glasses, so I see all the wonderful things about living in New Orleans. Like when I moved down there, it was the morning that all of the jasmine bloomed in the city, and I stepped out of the car. I'd never been to New Orleans before, and it literally smelled like I was in a Disney movie. And it's so fun looking back, and it's like, oh, well, we did so many cool things, and we did swamp tours, and the history just in our neighborhood was so neat. But I don't know that I necessarily would have stayed much longer, just because I didn't really enjoy the city living there. But it would have been a little more exciting to work all the training camps and preseason games if Drew Brees had been there for sure.
So, I'm surprised you're rooting for Drew Brees after he beat the Colts in the Super Bowl, but that's a whole nother podcast episode. So,
Purdue guy, which I don't like Purdue, but my family does. So
there you go. So now you're with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tell us what you do on like a day-to-day basis, game day experience versus non-game days. Tell us about your job. What do you love about it? And kind of what's the impact that you think you make on the team?
Sure. So with me being membership sales and service, I basically do full menu. A lot of people getting in, especially like straight out of an inside sales or consumer sales program, think that it's going to be a lot of go selling because that's what they really get you ready for with inside sales. And it's a lot of go phone calls and stuff, but it's the servicing part that makes my job more different. We are sold out. We've been sold out since March of 2015. And so I think we just hit 475 or 480 straight sellouts. So my job's a little different. I'm not actively selling season ticket packages over the summer. I'm not selling prorated plans throughout the season like some other teams are. But I'm managing my existing members. And so the unique part about my role is I'm technically still commission-based, but it doesn't come out of, oh, well, I sold this $800 ticket package, so I make the commission straight off then. It's based off of renewals. So the bulk of my season goes towards taking care of my members, making sure they're really happy with their seats, and making a lot of experiences, like a lot of fun things happen for them, which is my favorite part of the job. But on like a non-game day, during the season, typically we're prepping for whatever's up next. So if we have any sort of group offer going out, so we've got one for Thanksgiving, the Boltsgiving Loft. So sending that out, helping with any sort of ancillary sales there, doing concert and event sales. We just announced a bunch of really cool shows, so people are calling in about that. And then just general upkeep with our accounts. We're still pretty early on, but it's like, the people who haven't attended any games like thus far, those are people that I'm calling, making sure they're good, seeing if there's anything I can help them out with. On a game day, I get in early because game days are my favorite day. So I'm here at 8 and I stay until the game ends. So I get home at 10:30 or 11 on game nights, but it's 8 till about 2 p.m. Getting people ready for the game if I have people picking up items that they've purchased from the Lightning Foundation in the auction, or if I'm meeting people in game, or if I have fan experiences or groups or suites booked for the night, it's making sure they're set up, they know where to go. And then really from like 2:30 on, it's just prepping. And so in game, I typically have a station. So I'm working the ticketing desk in the 100 level, or I'm working it up in the 300s, or I'm stationed in one of our like club areas, just making sure people are good, but then also like meeting with my members. One of the things that's kind of fun is we do a lot of face-to-faces. We actually have a monthly standard on it where we have to have so many face-to-face visits with our clients, but I really enjoy talking to my clients, so I end up typically getting in long-winded conversations and going.
You're a talker? I didn't know you were a talker.
Yeah,
there you
right?
go.
But no, it's the other fun part is just being in the arena on a game day. I think that hockey is really wonderful in comparison to NFL. Like, I loved working in the NFL, but I like that there's more games, and it kind of breaks up my weeks and stuff, and it's not just 7 or 8 Sundays and occasionally a Monday or Thursday if your team's doing well. It's pretty consistent. So no, I mean, I'm like very blessed to say that I literally get paid to watch hockey games. So going in and getting to hear the crowd, I've gotten to the point, it's really weird, but I've gotten to the point where if I'm walking down a hallway, I'm not even like looking in at the ice, there's no TVs. I can tell by the crowd whether it's a fight, a penalty. I know all of the different noises that they do. So if there's a penalty on us versus a penalty on the other team, or if they score a goal or if we score a goal. So, it's just fun to be all in the action, and our fans are very, very passionate and very excited. So it's really fun.
So what's more stressful for you, doing your job during a home game or watching an away game on the TV? Because I've been texting you sometimes during those away games, and the Kate passion side comes out, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Wednesday we played the Rangers, and the Rangers, last week, finally scored their first home goal of the season at Madison Square Garden, and then they came out and absolutely wiped the floor with us by scoring 7 goals, and that one wasn't super fun. We'll have some games where it'll be an early weekend game, and that those ones are going to be crazy because everybody can finally bring their kids, and so it's just kids everywhere, and it's everybody's first game, and all these people coming in, and they don't know where to go. But no, it's 100% watching the games on TV. It's terrible. I sit on my couch and I'm like all bundled up and yelling at the TV. My cat won't sit with me. Drew doesn't even stay in the same room. It's a lot.
So I know you've spoken very highly of the Tampa Bay ownership in the past. Do you want to kind of elaborate on that? I know one thing that kind of resonates with me is when you started, you were coming off the back-to-back Stanley Cups. They were going for a three-peat. Unfortunately, they did not win versus the Avalanche, but you were able to be a part of that experience. And you went to one of the away games, correct?
Yeah. So when I came in, again, I'd been to that one singular hockey game before, and I just decided it was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. So I started up, and I had about 2.5 months of regular season games, and then playoffs started. And hockey playoffs, NHL playoffs are a different beast. I mean, I take for granted all of the stress I had when the Colts would make like the wild card round or something, because there is nothing like going to 7 games in the first round against Toronto and going to shootout for over half of them. I remember my boss was standing next to me game 7 against Toronto, and we won in shootout, and it literally was like 3-3, and we barely hit it, and everybody's screaming, and it's crazy, and he just like high fives me, and he goes, well, we'll do this all again next round. And I was like, next round? But no, our ownership group, so it used to be just Jeff Vinnick. So Mr. Vinnick used to own the team. He sold majority ownership over to Doug and Mark. They're out of Blue Owl Investments up in New York City. They're absolutely wonderful. But when it was just Mr. Vinnick there, they really like to take care of us because playoffs are very, very stressful on all of us. So we're basically here every single day, 10 to 15 hours a day. Like it's a lot, but they make sure that we have chair massages and we get all of our meals. So every single day there's a different dessert or a smoothie truck, or we have barbecue like catered in. But yeah, so round 4, we were playing the Avalanche, and we swept. We completely swept Florida in the second round, and we reverse swept the Rangers in the third. And then we went to the finals, and I was in second or third grade when the Colts won the Super Bowl, and I've never seen any of my favorite teams succeed since. And I had no idea what it would be like, but we got an email that if we wanted to sign up, Mr. Vinnick was going to fly out all full-time staff to Denver for Game 5 of the Colorado Lightning Stanley Cup Finals. And so I naturally signed up for that immediately. He did that before Game 4. Once Game 4 happened, going into Game 5, it was one where if we lost, we would literally get to see the Avalanche pick up and lift the cup right there in front of us. So we were really stressed going into it. But Yeah, it was the longest, like 26 hours of my life. We got up and got to the arena really early and then hopped on a bus and went to the private airport, and we got on a charter plane and flew out to Denver, which is like 4.5 hours. Got on another bus at Denver, went into the
That
city.
airport's a nightmare. That Denver airport is a lot.
It's a lot, and it's just so far from the city. So it's like another hour getting into Denver, but we had lunch. Mr. Vinnick rented out a brewery. So it was like I think it was like 125, 130 of us that were there. And then normally when you have other teams go, like if we do an away trip or something like that, normally the opposing team will split us up. And so they don't want all the Lightning fans in one area. They want to do them in like pockets of like 4 to 6 to 8. For whatever reason, which we choose to believe that Mr. Vinnick had his hand in it, all of us were in one singular section all together. And, my mom was watching and she's like, oh, I can hear you guys. Like, no, you can't. But we ended up getting to see a big win, and we were in the hallway afterwards, and we had the police escort us out, and we flew home. It was great. We do this thing during playoffs as well. It's called like goal pool. And so you will randomly get it. They've got like a wheel, and they'll randomly assign you a player. And if your player is the first person to score a goal in that game, you win whatever gift it was. And so like the one singular time at that Colorado game, I got up and went to the bathroom. I came back and everybody's screaming at me, and I'm like, oh my God, what? Like, is everything fine? Do I have toilet paper on my shoe or something? And they're like, you won. Cause I had Jan Ruda, who was not the person that anybody thought would score the first goal, but I got like a limited edition, like Stadium Series Jack Daniels bottle. It was super cool, but that was so exciting coming back in. And then getting back, and then we watched them lose at home here, which sucked. I cried, and Drew was with me, and I had no permanence or anything at this point. It was just like the high of seeing my brand new favorite team like go all the way and then lose it right in front of me. And Drew made me sit down there and stay and watch the cup presentation, because he's like, when are we ever going to see this again? And I was like, hopefully soon.
Yeah, hopefully soon in Tampa Bay, Drew. But
no, the owners are amazing.
We grew up, Drew and I grew up obviously being, fair weather Blackhawks fans. It wasn't, a team we sat down and watched a lot. But I know Drew's been very supportive of the Tampa Bay Lightning over the last few years. And honestly, really all of our friend groups. So it's really cool to see a team and how much you've spoken highly of the ownership, the players, the success they've had, and the sustained success they've had as well. So very cool. Going back to a little bit about you and your job too, what's your most memorable event that you've done on a non-game day experience, whether it was a certain site, a certain event, meeting a certain player, anything that stands out to you?
I have two, if that works.
Oh, yeah.
Super long-winded.
No worries.
No, I recently, so I'm on our events committee. So that's the other thing, my department, they're really big on professional development and making sure that you're involved with opportunities you want to be involved in. And so we have different committees, and me and my coworker Kendall, we head up the events committee. So any Bolt for Life, which is what we call our season ticket holders, any Bolt for Life event that goes on, she and I end up pretty much planning and running them. And so a couple weeks ago, I threw a Halloween event for the Bolt for Life members and their families. It was our hat trick or treat, but I got to go and decorate the 100 level. We did a competition with my department where we paired people up, and they got to decorate a suite to hand out candy in, and we let our members go and vote on their favorite suite, and the winners won glass seats for a game coming up. So I don't know, just getting to see an event that no one really wanted to do. There's not a lot of Halloween fans in Florida, if you'll believe it, but I'm a diehard Halloween fan, so getting that event off the ground, really getting it all set, and then having an absolutely fantastic show rate was awesome. And then I guess one of my other good stories was I have a couple of friends on our Lightning Foundation community relations team, and so we do a lot for the community, and there's a lot of outreach. And a couple seasons ago, it wasn't last Christmas, I think it was the year before, we did an event with Metropolitan Ministries, where it was taking out underprivileged children, whether they were from like a low-income family or they were orphans or something like that. But I got asked to assist. Basically, it was at a Target. They paired the kids up with a player or two and gave them basically like, here's $500, go crazy. And so we walked around and shopped with the kids. And my whole job was just to be the human calculator. So I was there like tallying up and making sure, we were staying under that limit. But I got paired up with a couple of players who were around my age, and they're also kind of yappy. And unfortunately, they're no longer, well, I guess Darren Radish is still on the team. He's a defenseman. But Nick Perbix, he's now on the Predators. But they made a really big point, and it's so stressed in the sports industry, and it's something that we all like know and we respect. You can be a diehard Nikita Kucherov fan, but like, he's my coworker. Mm-hmm. So if I ever see him and stuff, I'm not, oh my God, it's not me freaking out.
You can't fangirl. You can't fangirl.
Yeah, it's just treating them like normal people because they're just my coworkers. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of was taking a bit of a backseat. I was like, this is you guys' show. I'm just hanging out here. And they made a big point of bringing me in and having me help with the kid that we had. And what was also kind of cool is at the end when everybody was checking out, I think every single one of the players went and pulled out their own card and let them, the kids get whatever they wanted over that budget. So Austin Watson, who used to be on our team, I'm not sure where he is now or if he's still playing. I know he was on the older side. He ended up filling up 2 shopping carts with his little boy that he had. And completely paying out of pocket for all of it because he got a microscope sets and dinosaurs. And it was, I think everybody cried in the parking lot afterwards. It was just a really, really wonderful moment. And getting to be involved with something that, isn't just like going out and volunteering. It's helping. It's also something that's like going to be a real special core memory for the kids. Like That was one of my favorite things.
And I think that's what, gets kids gravitated into sports and being fans of players, right? It's something that, to your point, it's a core memory. And they're going to look back on that, whether they're 15 years old, 45 years old, or, on their deathbed, and they'll say that they can respect that moment that they share with that player. So that's really cool. Mm-hmm. Also very lines up with your Halloween, because I know your bachelorette party and how you guys treated that.
Oh, God.
So very, very good there. That's awesome stuff. So let's talk a little bit just Lightning in general. So they started off a little rough, like 1-4 to start, but now they're up to 8-6-2, climbing their way up. Jake Ensel, Kucherov, former Blackhawk Brandon Hagel, they're kind of leading the way from a point standpoint. What's the outlook on the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think a week and a half ago, we had pretty much all of our defensemen get hurt. So with this Rangers game that just happened, it was tough because we were having to bring up a lot of people from the Syracuse Crunch just to fill in the roster. I know right now our captain is day-to-day. Hagel's day-to-day. He got hit in the head. We've got a bunch of people that are out, but our young guy, our head coach, John Cooper, he said that, we had a all-staff meeting and he came and talked to us, and he was saying that this is the most talented group of rookies and people coming up and trying to make the team that he's ever seen. So he feels really confident that even if we have one of our bigger players go out, we're still gonna do really well. And that's always kind of cool too, is we're able to see so often, Dominic James or Charles-Edouard Destu, they scored their first goals, Mm-hmm. And so we're able to see all these like actual like mile mark moments where maybe it's not, oh my gosh, like Braden Point just had this insane breakaway. That happened, of course, in an away game. But, like, insane breakaway, really cool shot. It's getting to see these kids. I say kids. They're, like, 3 years younger than me. But, like, these kids come out and just have their first ever game and score their first goal. But, no, I feel confident about the team. We looked like we were in a really good spot before these injuries. Mm-hmm. And I feel really good about where we are moving forward. I trust in Coach Coop. I trust in our GM, Julien Brisebois. Let JBB cook is what we say.
That's good. What's your favorite part about living in Tampa Bay? And while you're thinking, so I'll just say, going down to Tampa Bay a lot, seeing you guys and, for work from my standpoint, it's a very close-knit city, like you said, quote unquote smaller market, but especially for the Bucks and the Lightning, there's very passionate fans, warm weather year round. The Rays as well, there's a lot of support and there's a lot of, I think, respect for all three franchises down in the Tampa Bay area. And that's something that, combine that with the good weather, that I've always liked just going down there and seeing. So obviously you've had a lot broader experience and probably a better answer than I have, but that's, I guess, my favorite part of Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, not to align everything with my job. I mean, I'm here all the time. I tease, whenever I'm on phone calls with my members, I'll say, oh, yeah, I practically live at the arena, which I'm here all the time. But no, I mean, I'm not much of a beach or sun or hot weather. Like, I'm very lucky to work in a place where I can wear turtlenecks to work, even if it's 75 degrees out, because the AC in here is always insane. But Tampa feels very reminiscent of Indy. And I think I took Indy for granted a lot when I was growing up there, just because I couldn't wait to get out of the state. I couldn't wait to get out of Indy. But Indy's a very, very passionate sports town. And getting involved with the sports here, like, I have friends on the Rays, friends on the Bucks. I was at a Bucks staff Halloween party a couple weekends ago. Everybody's very tight knit, but it's a hockey town. And working and developing a new passion for something like hockey that I hadn't seen before, getting to see the whole town blow up in blue and lightning bolts and everything for every single game, and especially during playoff season and stuff. Like, you come down to Tampa and you think, oh yeah, it's the Buccaneers. The Bucks run this thing, and especially with the Super Bowls and Brady, and now Baker Mayfield's a stud. I love Baker.
Nice guy.
But so nice. But no, getting to see how great that organization is and the fan base, but then everybody still just dies over the Lightning. That's the best part, is driving into work on a game day, especially around playoffs, and you see the planes with the banners doing loops around, and they change out the banners on all of the street signs, and it's a really, really cool place to live. And I also just, it's like street cred at this point, because you go out and you talk to random people at a bar or a restaurant or anything like that, and they ask what you do, and I say I work for the Lightning, and that's the
awesome.
Best answer you can give in Tampa. So,
yeah. So, who's been your supporting cast? Who's helped you get to this point? I know, you and Drew selfishly left me in Indianapolis, but, I know he's made a big impact. Has there been anybody else that's really helped you along the way? And just in the sport,
yeah.
Whether it's finding the love of sports or whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, love of sports obviously comes from my parents. We grew up diehard Colts fans, and my dad's a diehard Illinois fan. My mom's a diehard Purdue fan. She's from West Lafayette. I chose Illinois, so I grew up really, really involved with watching sports and getting to go to my once a year Illinois football game and everything. But no, I mean, down here, I have such a good support system at work. My team is fantastic. All of the other membership sales reps, management here is really, really great for professional growth. They're really wonderful in, making sure that, yes, we're here all the time. We're here with each other more than we probably are with our families, which is true. But it's going to be a really great environment. You're going to feel supported. You're going to get the time off when you need to. Candidly, I don't have a super strong mentor, just because of how much I bounced around with remote work and then Indy and then New Orleans and everything. But I have my connections from the SPAD department at Louisville. I've got a buddy who works over in the box office for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I have one of my old managers from here. She now works over for the Arizona Cardinals. Sports is when you work in sports, it's a very hard market to get into. It's very niche, and front office organization, I mean, we have 19,071 people plus in the building every single game night, but there's only 120, 140 of us that actually work full time on the back end, making everything happen. So you get to know everybody you work with very well. You get to know a lot of other people in the industry very well. So the support system is pretty much everywhere.
Awesome. So you said, like you just said, getting into the sports industry is just, it's difficult. What's your advice to people who may be just graduating from college or looking for a career change in general, how to get in?
Yeah, I mean, I would say first and foremost, don't count out sales. I took a sales class at Louisville, and I hated it, and I never wanted to do anything like this. And it's what I ended up in, and I got to the point where I absolutely adore it. But I wouldn't say like count out sales. If you are a people person and you like making memories and you like making people feel special and take care of stuff, like it's a really great role to be in. But if you get to the point of interviewing or doing anything like that, my absolute biggest piece of advice, with my hiring pool, when I was hired here, I was picked up by myself, and I was one of the last applicants. And they had interviewed over 700 people. So I got super, super lucky that I made the cut and they liked me and it worked out. But there's an astonishing number of applicants. There's a ton of people who want to get into sports. And, we all say you're in it because for the love of the game, not for the money. The money will come, but like you do it because you love it. And if you get to the point of interviewing and finding a team that you like or an organization you want to join, biggest piece of advice is keep your personality. There are so many people who interview who give the same basic like answers on, it's like cookie cutter, Chat GPT or whatever. Like it's basic cookie cutter, same personality, same everything. You just look like you're dressed up and ready for an interview. And biggest thing that's worked for me every single time I've tried to get in with a different team is just being myself. So, have that personality, make sure you show who you are. Cause again, especially with like a hockey or an NBA or, oh my God, heaven forbid, baseball, you're with everyone you work with so often that they're looking for someone who's going to fit the culture. That's not always someone who's going to give you like the most polite, by the book answers. They want someone who's going to come in and really feel like themselves and be a fun person to work with.
That is a fantastic answer. Thank you. Kate, any other hockey takes you have for this season? Whether it's Tampa Bay related or NHL related. Because I would ask you a Colts take, but I know it's going to be the Colts are winning the Super Bowl. No biased. Yeah.
Yeah, I say that before the beginning of every single season with the Colts.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm typically really quickly disappointed, but I can't even believe the Colts right now. It feels like I'm floating. But no, this is a really fun season for hockey. If I have a couple of things that I personally like to look at, you see a lot of like ESPN and Bleacher Report, TNT, all of those. They focus in on, the big names and the older guys. And so you've got Ovechkin, you've got Sidney Crosby. Those guys are making headlines every single night. You see a ton about Connor McDavid, who the same age, so he's not an older guy. But there's all these big names. It is so, so, so fun to look at the people who are new and they're just like taking everything over. So my obviously Drew, with being like sort of a sleeper Blackhawks fan, he says it's his number one team, but he wears Lightning jerseys every game until the one game that the Blackhawks are here, and then he wears this Chicago jersey. But I love watching Bedard. But my favorite right now is San Jose Sharks. I would truly put money on it that give them a season or two and they're going to be top contenders for the Cup, if not making the playoffs this year, just with their combination of Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith. They're I'm pretty sure they're both 19. They're babies. And they're just so fun. They've got big personalities. They're absolute best friends. I love getting to see the dynamic of players who are like super close with each other. Just because once you when you see their chemistry on the ice, it's like Anthony Cirelli and Brandon Hagel. Like, they're best buds. But you see their chemistry on the ice, and you see how good they work together, and knowing in the background that they also do literally everything together. It's so fun to watch. Like, San Jose, they come on January 20th here, and that's a game that not a lot of people are super excited for, and I probably will take the game off and go to it because I can't wait to see them.
That's awesome. Kate, thank you so much for sharing your story. Best of luck to you and the Lightning for the rest of the season. At some point, you got the wedding ring this year. Maybe 2026 brings that Stanley Cup and the hockey ring, and then a Super Bowl ring for the Colts, and then your life will be complete.
Oh my God.
You can buy a lottery ticket, and off into the sunset you go. But no, Kate, Thank you so much. Appreciate you sharing your story. And for those that are interested in getting into sports, feel free to listen to this video and follow Kate's journey, take her advice, and, stay the course, but know that, good things may not seem true at first with the Colts and whatnot, but, it all turned out going from Indianapolis to New Orleans to Tampa Bay, and you're right where you want to be, and we're really happy for you.
Yeah.
So, Kate, have a wonderful day, and we'll get you back on in April, May for NHL playoffs.
Yeah, it'll be good. Thank you so much.
Have a good day.